Gen Z is working harder than ever, yet millions of young Americans still feel broke, stressed, and financially stuck. They were told to go to school, get a job, work hard, and success would eventually follow. But instead, many are facing record rent prices, student loan debt, expensive groceries, impossible housing costs, and non-stop financial anxiety before they even turn 30. So why does this generation feel so financially exhausted compared to previous generations? Is it bad money habits, or has the entire economic system changed? Today, we're breaking down the real reasons Gen Z feels financially overwhelmed and why so many young Americans feel like they're falling behind before they even get started. Welcome back to the Dollar Pilot. For many young Americans, financial stress has become part of everyday life. And the truth is, this isn't just about people spending too much money on coffee or online shopping like social media jokes often suggest. The financial pressure Gen Z faces is much deeper than that. This generation entered adulthood during one of the most economically unstable periods in modern history. Many Gen Z workers started their careers during or after the pandemic, during a time of rising inflation, expensive housing, and rapidly changing job markets. At the same time, social media constantly exposes them to luxury lifestyles, unrealistic success stories, and non-stop financial comparison. The result is a generation that often feels financially behind, no matter how hard they work. One of the biggest reasons is housing costs. Rent prices across the United States have surged dramatically over the last several years. In many major cities, young workers now spend huge portions of their income just trying to afford a small apartment. Buying a home feels even more impossible. High home prices combined with elevated mortgage rates pushed homeownership far out of reach for many Gen Z Americans. Previous generations often bought homes in their 20s or early 30s. Today, many young workers can barely save for a down payment while covering basic living expenses. Then there's student loan debt. Millions of young Americans entered adulthood already owing tens of thousands of dollars before building any real savings or investments. Student loan payments create long-term financial pressure that affects everything from buying homes to saving for retirement. And while wages have increased in some industries, the cost of living often rises even faster. Groceries, transportation, healthcare, insurance, utilities, and everyday necessities all became more expensive in recent years. Many Gen Z workers receive paychecks that technically look decent on paper, but after taxes and expenses, very little money remains. That's why so many young Americans feel trapped in the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. But financial exhaustion isn't only about money itself, it's also psychological. Gen Z grew up during constant economic uncertainty. They watched the effects of the 2008 financial crisis, lived through a global pandemic, saw inflation explode, and entered a workforce increasingly shaped by automation and artificial intelligence. This creates a feeling that financial stability is never guaranteed. Unlike previous generations that often expected long-term careers with pensions and stable benefits, many Gen Z workers feel like they must constantly adapt just to remain financially secure. The rise of the gig economy also changed the nature of work. Many young Americans now juggle side hustles, freelance work, delivery apps, content creation, and multiple income streams because a single paycheck often no longer feels sufficient. And while technology created new opportunities, it also increased competition dramatically. Remote work and online platforms mean workers now compete in a more global and fast-moving economy than previous generations ever experienced. Social media makes this pressure even worse. Every day, Gen Z users are flooded with videos of people claiming to become rich overnight through crypto, trading, entrepreneurship, or online businesses. Constant exposure to wealth and success creates unrealistic expectations and financial anxiety. Many young people feel like they're failing simply because they aren't becoming wealthy quickly enough. But in reality, building financial stability has always taken time. The difference is that today's economy makes the starting line feel much farther away. At the same time, financial literacy remains a major issue. Many schools still don't properly teach budgeting, investing, taxes, debt management, retirement accounts, or long-term wealth building. As a result, young adults often enter the real world financially unprepared, and unfortunately, that lack of knowledge becomes very expensive over time. Now, does this mean Gen Z is doomed financially? Not at all. In many ways, Gen Z is also becoming one of the most financially aware generations in modern history. Young Americans today openly discuss investing, side income, emergency funds, budgeting apps, index funds, and financial independence far more than previous generations did at the same age. Many are learning to invest earlier, avoid lifestyle inflation, and build multiple income streams. Technology also gives Gen Z access to financial tools and education previous generations never had. But the challenge remains enormous because the modern economy rewards financial knowledge more than ever before. This is why long-term investing, emergency savings, and disciplined financial habits matter so much. The truth is, most financial success is not built overnight. It's usually built slowly through consistency, patience, and avoiding destructive debt. And perhaps the biggest lesson Gen Z is learning right now is this: making money is important, but protecting your mental health while navigating financial stress matters too. Because constant burnout, comparison, and anxiety can become financially destructive on their own. At the end of the day, Gen Z feels financially exhausted, not because they're lazy or irresponsible. Many are working incredibly hard. The real issue is that this generation entered adulthood during a period of rising living costs, economic instability, expensive housing, and non-stop financial pressure. And unless wages, affordability, and economic opportunity improve, millions of young Americans may continue feeling like financial freedom keeps moving farther away. Because for many Gen Z workers today, survival itself already feels like a full-time job.